These paramedics are traumatised. Some have PTSD. All say their lives and careers are ruined, and it has nothing to do with what they encountered on the job. They say bullying and harassment by their own colleagues is to blame. They've tried to speak up for years, but allege their complaints have fallen on deaf ears. Tonight, for the first time, these brave paramedics tell their stories.
I'm ashamed to say I work for Ambulance Victoria.
I knew I had to do something. If I spoke up, then I knew that there'd be consequences in that way as well.
They're among our most trusted healthcare professionals, frontline paramedics helping save lives 24/7. But at what cost?
So many of us have gone to management, have written complaints, have emailed, we have the evidence, we've asked for change, we've asked for help, and we've been shut down.
I've been called, you'll have to bleep it out, a stupid, a maggot.
Certainly can be very much a boys' club.
A so-called boys' club that's turned into a crisis for Ambulance Victoria.
For an organisation whose main role in society is to help other people and care for others, they don't care for their own.
We need to not be fearful anymore and stand up, speak out and try and stop this culture, because no job's worth anyone's life.
With 73 years experience between them, tonight you'll hear from some of Ambulance Victoria's most experienced and trusted employees. They're speaking out publicly for the very first time because they've had enough. They're sick and tired of what they say is a toxic culture of bullying, harassment, intimidation and gender discrimination from within their own ranks.
We're held ethically standard to be truthful, honest, have morals. Well, it's about time management held themselves to the same standard.
Rachel Downey's been a paramedic with Ambulance Victoria for 13 years. While Rachel loves her job, she hates being bullied.
I've had a manager spit on me regularly. He's threatened me physically, emotionally. It's been going on for 8 years. It's still going on.
After making an official complaint, she says something more extreme happened, a threat to kill.
He grabbed me by the throat, pushed me up against the wall and said, if you don't drop this complaint, I'm going to gut you, slit your throat and gut you like the you are. When I did report that to AV, they said they asked him and he said it never happened. So it was dropped.
That was it.
That was it.
WorkCover investigated and substantiated her claims of workplace stress and bullying. But while this very investigation took place, Rachel says that superior was promoted and ultimately there was no finding against him. And she was forced to pack up and move her family to another station 100 kilometres away.
That behaviour, it's encouraged, it's rewarded, and speaking up is discouraged and punished.
At her new station in regional Victoria, Rachel and her superior, the alleged bully, still cross paths.
I had to lock myself in the ambulance. He came out and he was banging on the ambulance, calling out, rocking the ambulance. He was saying, I know you're in there, you stupid and you're done for, and just laughing. I continued to complain that that was happening and I was told he was trying to be friendly.
To feel like you're not being heard is really distressing, really distressing.
For Kim Savage, after 21 years in the job, she was broken.
Ambulance has made me feel devalued and worthless and nothing more than a number.
The single mum's been diagnosed with PTSD. She says proving her mental health issues to Ambulance Victoria was almost impossible.
The treatment I received immediately post my diagnosis was more traumatic than anything I've ever seen on road.
Feeling helpless one morning, Kim says she emailed CEO Tony Walker. In the last 6 to 8 weeks, I've been made to feel like a cheat and a liar. And to top it off, I have not been paid an income by AV for 6 weeks, even though my claim has now been approved. Please do not allow this to happen to future paramedics. All those young, bright-eyed, keen young things deserve better. We all do.
And if you had told me then that I would be where I am now, I would have laughed at you. I wouldn't have believed you.
Kim's now off work and on work cover. She's written a book about her experiences and fears she'll never return to the job.
I have no doubt if I had driven into the tree I was eyeing off 18 months ago, there would have been a little notice, you know, Vale Kim, thanks for 20 years of service, and that would have been it. Done, dusted, move on to the next one. I've seen it happen before.
I thought it was every second person I would speak to had either been bullied or sexually harassed or some form of harassment, but it's almost every single person.
Jessica Davis is another who says she's been bullied during the past 7 years in the job.
I found that I was at work and locking myself in an ambulance because I was so fearful of this particular bully.
Despite reaching out for help, Jessica says she was disregarded.
I was told that if you don't fit into the team, you'll be relocated to another team.
When making a complaint to Ambulance Victoria, it is investigated by their professional conduct unit, known as PCU. Both Rachel and Jessica say this was the most demeaning part and compounded the impacts of being bullied.
They were very dismissive, quite degrading.
Like Rachel, after making a formal complaint, Jessica was also forced to move stations and was placed on a performance management plan.
Based on the fact that I put my hand up to complain about bullying and harassment to try and stop that, now I've got the clinical review, a driving review, a fatigue review.
I have also been referred to as, due to my age, maybe I'm oversensitive to being spat on and called, and I should just be less emotional and put it down to it was my time of the month, so I should have just disregarded the behaviour or the comments.
These people need support. You know, they didn't deserve what followed after making a complaint, and I think that process in itself is where there's a failing.
Keith Greenwell's a former union liaison with 18 years experience on the road as a paramedic. He represented Rachel and Jessica in their complaints at the PCU.
It wasn't favourable to pursuing these sort of things. I'd had enough. I'd been disillusioned a bit, I guess.
We have no trust in the systems that they've put in place because they're abusing those systems for their own benefit, and it's disgraceful.
Eric's been a paramedic for a decade. For fear of retribution, he doesn't want to show his face.
The middle or upper managers that have been dealing with these situations have protected these managers, and in doing so they use bullying techniques within the system.
I think it reminds us that we still have a long way to go in terms of properly addressing sexual harassment, equality and safety in the workplace.
Kristen Hilton's Victoria's Equal Opportunity and Human Rights Commissioner. She's been called in by Ambulance Victoria to conduct an independent inquiry into the service.
I think it's also an indication that this is 2020 and people are not prepared to put up with that anymore. And I think it puts workplaces on notice.
This is a proud service and we're very proud of the service we offer to the community, but this is a dark stain on us, and it's a pretty dark day in our history for these claims to be made about us, so it's embarrassing.
Mick Stevenson's the Executive Director, Clinical Operations for Ambulance Victoria. He says he wasn't aware paramedics had lost faith in the complaints process.
It certainly wouldn't be the position that the person who made the complaint would be penalised. But if that has happened, or something like that has happened, then it needs to be reinvestigated.
A Current Affair understands Mr. Stevenson was directly involved in handling Jessica's complaint against her supervisor, in what could be a perceived conflict of interest, considering up until last week on his Facebook profile page, Mick was pictured alongside Jessica and Rachel's alleged bully, who has been cleared of any wrongdoing.
Yeah, I reckon we might leave this, Mimi, because I do have a very clear view of it. Yes, I do, but I think we just leave it.
I think if we don't stand up, we don't have any hope. We will not get any change. and I think we keep on standing up.
Despite what they've been through, Kim, Rachel, Jessica, Keith and Eric all want to remain paramedics and hope by speaking out change will happen. It appears it already has. Since becoming aware of our report, Ambulance Victoria says it will formally investigate one of the most serious claims and will refer the matter to police. Further, it urges other paramedics with complaints to contact the Victorian Human Rights Commission inquiry line. The full statement is on our website. Now, that story dealt with some sensitive issues. If you or someone close to you needs help, there is support available. Contact Lifeline on 131114.